Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the show for leaders who want real results, not more noise. Join Emmanuel Rose as he helps business builders turn AI from a confusing add-on into a practical advantage with clearer messaging, stronger trust, and smarter systems. If you felt a shift happening in real time, you're not imagining it. In the agentic pivot, Emmanuel calls it the move from experimenting with AI to building with it, so it supports your team, your brand, and your growth. Let's get into it.
I'm Emmanuel Rose, and my guest today is Misha Leybovich, a 15-year builder and founder of AdSmith, an AI ad agency that leans on a rigorous statistical experimentation to consistently improve performance. Misha's background includes building AI products at Google Labs, selling Starlink at SpaceX, and roles at McKinsey, MIT, Berkeley, and Cambridge. We'll focus on his practical approach to measurement, learning, and scaling AI-driven advertising. Misha, thank you so much for spending some time with me.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. Well, how old is AdSmith.ai?
I've been building for about 15 months, I'd say, and then was sort of, ideating on it, maybe prototyping maybe 6 months before that. So coming up on 2 years, but about a year of serving customers.
That's cool. And what's the customer group like that has your ear the most?
So we're focused on the startups and small businesses. This is look, we're going after the agency model. There's about $400 billion spent on agencies, about 400,000 agencies around the world. And it makes sense, right? Most companies, their wheelhouse is not going to be being awesome at marketing or ads or whatever. You want to outsource that. It's just like, you might outsource your taxes, same kind of thing. But the thing is that the human, the economics of providing human labor, it just doesn't make sense for these smaller companies. Either you get like really small agencies that don't do a great job, aren't super incentivized. And so what happens is you get these small businesses, they're spending maybe small, independently, but cumulatively they make up about 40% of all of ad spend comes from these small companies, and they're doing it by themselves. Like they don't know what they're doing, or if they have one marketer, they're overwhelmed. They got a lot of things to do. Ads is just one of many things that they got to do. And so we saw this. We're like, okay, I've worked with a lot of agencies, both at Google and like in my own startups. I saw how the capabilities that were coming out, not only in the content creation, but like doing the whole job, everything that an agency does to make ads actually happen. It's not just creative. That could be done with AI. It's not as simple as like ChatGPT, go do my ads. Like there's a lot that goes into it. But we saw over time this would be possible. So we're like, you've probably heard this investors talk about service as software. It's like all this services that now are sort of fair game for AI to compete for. And we're squarely in that camp. Been going well so far.
And so you're serving up, let's see, Google and some social pay-per-click right now, right?
Like Google and Meta ads right now. And then we're going to add every ad channel over time. We just started with those. Those are the two biggies. But ultimately, anywhere where there is an API I can send assets to and get performance data back, we'll go there. Like whatever it is, public billboard in Omaha, doesn't matter. Like, because the thing is, there's probably a lot of arbitrage in competing in all these places where most aren't. So for us, we get a set of assets approved. We have a campaign structure that we've sort of mapped to the way that every platform works, and we're just putting everything out to experiment. And the data tells us what to invest more in.
Well, and then what does your roadmap look like for adding things beyond Meta and Google?
Probably by the end of this year, I want to have maybe like 5 channels, probably, some combo of Reddit, LinkedIn, X, and TikTok. Probably a few of those. Ultimately, we'll, by the end of next year, we'll have all of them. But it's mostly about getting our foundation solid. And then, adding channels is not that hard. We just want to make sure like our whole flow is solid first, which we're pretty much there.
That's cool. And then you have an interesting payment model. Tell me about how you guys landed where you did for what you charge your clients.
Yeah, so our core fee is 10% of the spend on the ads that we create and manage. And the core idea here, I mean, first of all, it's a pretty well established model from the current agency world. In addition, they have like retainers and other fees. We don't have that. But I kind of liked it because it's, to me, the closest we can get to aligned incentives. We want to live and die with our customers' success or not, or not. If we're not making them successful, then we don't deserve to be either. And the percentage of spend, it's like if the ads are working, they're going to keep spending more, and we're going to make more money. And if it stops working, they're going to stop. We're not going to make any money. I mean, I'd love later on to get even further down the funnel to like the actual how much profit did you make because of our ads, but
Yeah.
that's a lot more instrumentation down the road that we don't have yet. But
Yeah.
Percentage amount spent is sort of it's a decent proxy for that. We also charge for we just pass through the cost of creative, just wholesale. Basically, it's not that much. It's like 10 cents an image. It's going to be a couple bucks per video. We're adding video shortly. I decided to pass through the cost because I didn't want to put any limitations on what folks can do. If you want to create a bunch, like go for it. I don't want to have to make you spend against or have any weird rules. So you just pay for it. I don't make any money on that. And then we do the percentage of spend. And we also offer a white glove service for $1,000 a month. We give the agency experience. This is not my intention. My intention is to provide that level of service, but I want to do it through the software. But the reality is, like, up until even today, we're still in like V1 of the product. V2 will be launching in like later this summer. I'm working on it now, and it's usable. I have self-serve customers that are successful and all that.
Yeah.
V1. It's like a functional utility, not like a badass product yet. I know how to build badass products, and I'm still working my way there.
Well, that's a smart maker's move, right? You brought an MVP to market. You've gotten the customer feedback to build the V2, right?
We would have built it totally wrong if we didn't have that. It's funny. Like we started with design partners like back. It's like maybe a year, maybe even a year and a half ago. Near the beginning, and I only did it at first. So I'm totally honest here, because I was trying to raise money at the time, and investors told us, "Oh, you got to have design partners," and I just did it to make these investors happy. At the end of the day, that round wasn't successful, so it didn't even matter. But it led me to what I should have been doing anyways, which was building along with these partners. That you can't build in the vacuum. You gotta put this up against real world stuff and get real market feedback. And that totally has led us in the right direction.
Well, tell me about V2 and what you wouldn't have done if you would have been building it in your silo versus with customers.
Oh man, I mean, just like a lot of what we do is trying to abstract the structure of like what is advertising. You can get deep into like all of the assets that you create and all of the platforms and what happens there, but there's some core structural that's kind of the way my brain works. I'm always looking at what's the structure behind things and trying to understand that. And my notion of what things were, I probably would have been, and I have been actually overly rigid at times. Like, this is the way it should be. This customer's like, well, I want to do it that way. I'm like, that's a good point. I mean, I need to enable that. So how do I need to, adjust my structure? That has happened so many times that we've had to adjust it. I'll give you a very small example. That we're dealing with right now. The nature of location as an input to creative and then targeting on the ad platforms. Initially, I had it to where the location was basically the same location you put in for making the creative as an input to like, I need stuff centered in New York. So the images look like they're in New York, right? Here's where you target. I was like, oh, it's same. But now we have maybe 4 different customers where the input is something that the LLMs can understand, or the generative models like Austin, Texas, or Orange County, California, or New York. And the actual way that they want to target it on the platforms is like these specific neighborhoods, these specific zip codes. Whereas those would have been poor inputs into the creative function, because AI knows what LA is a lot more than it knows what 92604 is,
For sure. Yeah.
And so that's just one small example. It's on my mind right now because I was dealing with it today. But one among many where we're just constantly adapting to what customers actually need. And we try to build a flexible enough structure to where we can adapt with that. But yes, about V2. So right now, the core flow is like there's a creative flow. The main thing in the app, we have a results page, but then the main thing is like go here, create, publish, and then we'll show you the results. But not much beyond that at this moment. Now we got to build the product, with better reporting, easier, a better control. Like the goal is you never have to go to these ads managers because they're confusing. I don't know. Even as I think I'm an expert now. Google Ads Manager, Meta Ads Manager. These are tough products. I mean, like
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
So
it's like they make them complicated on purpose for some reason.
Honestly, no one's going to get promoted for making it better. So there's little incentive for it to happen.
I got you.
But yeah, so we're incorporating video with V2, and we're just going like there are certain things that we've learned about this process that we've had to map to. Like if you want to generate, let's say up to 20 images for a Google Performance Max asset group, we generate them 3 at a time. And we, behind the scenes, we're generating a concept for the thing, and then the specific, AI image prompt, and then sending it to the image model and looking at it, verifying it, storing it, all of that. So what that means is, in practice, no matter how we optimize it, you're still going to be waiting a minute or two between batches, which kind of sucks. You're there waiting. It's taking you 20, 30 minutes to make a thing when it shouldn't take that long. So now what we're doing things like in batches. Say, I want to order 3 experiments. Great. Let's do them. We're going to queue them up behind the scenes. We'll send you a notification in 30 minutes when you come back, and then you can look at them, together. So it's trying to go from like, yes, it works, to like, this is an easy product that, like I don't want my white glove service to be a requirement. Like that to me is not how I make money. I make money when people are really using the product and spending a lot more, and I need to make it to where my white glove service is just redundant because the product is that good.
Yeah, I love that. That makes a lot of sense. And then you can have different levels inside the software for different spend patterns, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I guess what was the big motivation? When was it that you said, okay, I'm going to dig into this and turn this into an actual product and raise money and get a team together and go through the heartache of building a product?
This is my 3rd startup, by the way. So I know how difficult it is. It's a glass eating competition. And I'll tell you, at 43 now, it hits a lot different than when I started at 28. Like I'm married, me and my wife trying to have a family soon. It's like I need this shit to work. So it's like it really is different. And so I left Google about a little over 2 years ago. And I was in Google Labs building cool AI products. But, there's all of the, the entrepreneur in me. Like, this is the greatest opportunity that, since mobile and, maybe ever. At least it's the best opportunity where I am the most prepared in my career to take most advantage of it. Young enough to be pretty energetic, old enough to have learned some things. And so I wanted to apply it. So I spent maybe 9 months thinking about applying AI to dentistry, to government contracting, to construction inspections, like all kind of ideas.
Yeah, where's the market?
Yeah, I kept coming back to like, I just know a lot about marketing and advertising. I've just done a lot of it. It hasn't been a real intentionally. It just kind of has happened with my career.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's the most obvious use case. I'm not fooling myself that there's like surely lots of competition, but the market's also enormous because there's like $1 trillion that gets spent on ads every year. And, the marketing services is $400 billion. And so I'm like, I think I have a differentiated enough perspective to where I'm just going to go after it. And the pie is big enough to where I can have enough impact in my little corner of the universe to hopefully earn the financial freedom that, for my family that I'm really after this for. And there's something in me too that, I don't know, like I've worked with agencies and, again, like a lot of I have friends and all this and everything, and, lovely people, but it rubs me the wrong way when there's like, I think marketing should be completely a science. There's not even that much room for opinion here. There's not like, oh, I know what's going to work, and therefore you should believe me. You know, the Don Draper days, I love Mad Men, but the Don Draper days are over, you know?
For sure.
It's all about rigor. And I was like, like just no bullshit, just completely driven by science, math, and experimentation. Now even creative is at that level because your inputs are basically the scientific or the experimental parameters. And I kind of, I liked trying to go after this. And look, we compete against and beat agencies like way more established, way bigger with way more resources than we do because our approach is sound. And I think that's only going to grow. So I started building it bootstrapped, mostly because no one would invest at that time. I've raised millions of dollars before, but it was just a totally different ballgame this time. And fair enough, you can't be mad at it. The market is what it is. We didn't have enough traction yet. You can't just raise because like, hey, I'm cool and I'm experienced. I have an idea. And so like, I'm going to bootstrap it and got myself all the way to profitability. Then I raised a small angel round just to give me a bit more of a war chest so I can do more things. And my team is all in Pakistan. I've hired many offshore folks over the years, so I'm pretty good at figuring out who's good. Yep. So my costs are pretty low. But with AI coding tools in their hands, boy, like they can, they level up just as good as any of my developers I've worked with here. So it's really a magical time for builders.
And then, are you a Codex or a Claude Code guy?
We use Cursor.
Okay,
yeah.
Cursor.
Yeah. So my team just liked that. We looked at all of them, but they're all good. So yeah.
And so, explain to me a little bit about how you came up with your rigorous statistical approach.
Yeah. So look, here's my core thesis, and it sounds reductive to folks, and it sounds funny, but this is true. That all ads are guesses. Nobody knows what it's going to be. Literally, our ads are guesses too. Anyone that tells you this is I know the persona's heart. Like, come on, give me a break. That might steer you in the right direction, but at the end of the day, people are very complex. We and what works for one person can work for someone else. And so I'm like, okay, all ads are guesses. The only logical approach is to basically take 1,000 times more guesses and learn from them as efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, well, what do you need to do that? And I started backing out from, okay, if at the end of the day there's an API call and I need to send these certain assets to Google or Meta or whatever. What do they need? Okay, they need this set of assets. Cool. So what do I need to do those? Oh, I need prompts to go into each one. So, okay, well, where do those prompts come from? And just kind of backed out until all the decisions that need to get made in producing, these sets of assets, as well as campaign format, like everything you need for that. That all can be made by AI. So I built this pretty rigorous schema. It's the craziest thing I've ever built. Like I barely keep it straight in my head. It's dozens and dozens of tables, like all foreign key linked. Like it's neurons of a brain. And then little sections of this brain that I'm like, okay, we have a very opinionated view on this is the way that advertising is best. I'm willing to live or die by that view. And so started building to that. The schema is getting more and more complex as we understand like what are the core things, the decisions that need to get made that go into everything. But then here's the magic. Once I automate that, now I have this fire hose of I can make experiments.
Right. You're getting data against it now.
Yeah. And then not only do I win on volume already, my stuff outperforms. It's a pretty simple formula. It's just this arbitrage. At this point, I've got to be in the top 99% of top 1% of like advertisers that is actually really taking this many shots on goal, against spend. So I'm like, that just makes sense. But then the magic comes, we haven't even done this yet. We're just collecting the data. But when I get the performance, I'm collecting the performance data. And then I have this input set of here's all of the decisions that went into all these experiments. And here's these 10 experiments, let's say. 6 of them didn't work. Who cares? Cost a couple bucks, took a couple minutes. So here's the 4 that worked, okay? Why? Like, what is the statistical signal that tells me why? And no human could figure, you can't look at these side by side. Oh, it's because it's yellow versus blue. Like, come on. This is like, deep, like 200 vector space, right? There's a lot of noise, but there's signal there too. And as I get more and more of that data, really what my company produces, it looks like we produce campaigns, but what we actually produce is decisions. And we can produce better and better decisions with that data. So that's what I'm really excited about is, we have this like across company, cross channel, cross platform, cross everything data set that's proprietary and we can learn from, that's going to be difficult for others to catch up with as we build more on it.
And so really your clients, your customers are getting the benefit of all the successful campaigns because you're baking that into a self-learning organism, essentially. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And there's going to be a lot of work to do around like, you can't merge all customer success together, right? Because
Sure.
like this kind of brand is in this industry is going to be different from that one, and
Right.
different sizes of. There's all kinds of things, but all these are just variables. And with enough data, I can make the key thing is learning on a customer's own data. Like that's really the biggest lift right there. Because right now, I see a million AI marketing things, but it's all like, hey, tell us a prompt, tell us what you want to see. And it's like, well, that's the hard part actually, is like, what should I, creating something is trivial now. A child can make a nice looking ad, but what should it be of? What style? What's the message? A million different things. And so that's what we really focus on. And yeah, it's all those decisions that's hard. But that's what we do.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really smart. And you didn't tell me to say this, but we are a client of yours and love the platform. And I'm looking to add Spec Kitty and a couple other projects of mine into their own accounts too, just because it is even as the MVP V1, it's easy enough to work with, and I think the cost and the value is there in the model that you set up and for the outputs. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man, and that gives me a lot of a lot of comfort and optimism for our future is when I see like I'm embarrassed by our V1. I'm like, yes, it works. Like it could be so much better, right? But even then, and even when our stuff doesn't work right, there's a bug, people still want it because versus their alternative, it's still much better. And this is V1. As we get to V2, V3, like we're gonna blow this other stuff away.
Yeah, no, that's exciting, especially as you continue to layer on clients and get revenue and keep building smart additions. So I'm really anxious for you to add the other ad platforms so that I can get those out of our hands and into the computers.
Totally. Well, and that's the thing too. Like what I'm really excited about there is, people ask me, hey, aren't you nervous about Google's going to bake in more of this stuff? Meta's going to bake in more of the stuff. Like, of course they want to be vertically integrated.
Yeah.
Google will never tell you to go spend 30% of your budget on Meta. They can't do that. And vice versa. Yeah. Someone needs to be the marketing fiduciary on behalf of the customer with their best interests in mind. And when I can get all the different channels and you just tell me, hey, dude, here's my monthly ad spend budget, be like, awesome. Our media buyer agent, we're setting up experiments everywhere, and every day it's just going to rebalance and let the data be the only guide. That's it.
That's I think what software was intended to be. So you and I are aligned on that. That's really cool. Well, adsmith.ai, Misha, I really wish the best for you, selfishly and altruistically, because I want you to do well. So you're around to make my life easier.
Absolutely, we're here. That's what we're here for.
All right. Well, all your contact info will be in the show notes, and AdSmith AI is worth a trial if you haven't started it yet. So, thanks again for spending some time with me, and I'm excited about your release window.
Thanks, Manuel. Take care.
All right. Good night. What a great reminder that wild ass guess and data are not the same thing, and where you can build testing and use that data then to revamp and improve your campaigns, you should build that in. And it's also smart to take a look at companies that have built-in intelligence into things deeper than a single prompt, and the reality that you're not going to be able to build out ad campaigns as well as something that they're doing in AdSmith just by using an LLM. So this is Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI. I hope you got some value from my conversation with Misha Leybovich from adsmith.ai. I did. I enjoyed it. And I also hope that you take some time today to spend with your favorite LLM. Look for a way to get some of your workday back. U.S. executives are experiencing 4 to 6 hours a week when they implement AI correctly. 4 to 6 hours a week is time saved. And with that time, you continue to upskill, that you spend it with your friends and family, or that you get outside into nature away from the screens. This is Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for